Good afternoon, and welcome to a Monday edition of the Mark Mosey Show podcast, as we're always broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Yes, take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. And you get all the details on Anidjar and Levine on my website, markmoseyshow.com. Now we're going to talk some NFL here on a Monday. He's smiling because his team's 4-1 now. Yes, he is. Luke Easterling-Athlon Sports. We got to fire those cannons, buddy. How you doing?
I'm fabulous, man. I mean, that was the most aesthetically pleasing football game ever, by the way, with the double throwbacks that we were so hoping they would do, and they did it. Even CBS had the score bugs and all the stats, and the graphics all had the throwback logos on it. So it was a beautiful game no matter what. And then the teams decided to give us an absolute barn burner of a game, a 38-35 shootout that was, I mean, it was kind of boring in the first half. It was like 13-0 with like 10 seconds left in the first half. And then Seattle scores. Seattle scored 5 straight touchdowns, but the Bucs just kept matching them, and they just needed that one break, and they got it with the interception at the end, and they made the last play to win the game. So man, what an absolutely entertaining game for anybody who didn't have a dog in that fight, right? If you just didn't care who won, you had a blast watching that football game. Again, beautiful uniform matchup, fantastic football game, and obviously glad the Bucs came out on top.
All right, let's start with this then. The game is tied. Sam Darnold has the ball. Sam Darnold's playing great, by the way. He really is. He throws a pass with a minute to go, tips off a Buccaneer helmet, goes straight to, I think we both agree on this, future Hall of Famer Levante David, who makes finally the defense makes a play.
Yeah,
dude, was that the play of the game? When you, of all the craziness, was that the play of the game right there?
Well, of course it wasn't. And the unsung hero here is the fact that Logan Hall is 6'6". So the MVP of this game is really just Logan Hall standing still, because if any other player on the field is where he is, that's not an interception. It never hits his helmet because he's literally the tallest player on both teams. So if anyone else is in that spot in that moment but Logan Hall, that play never happened. So kudos to Logan Hall for eating his vegetables and for the good genes that made him 6'6", because that's why the Bucs won, if we really want to get down to it. But no, it's massive play. And again, it made up for the fact that the Bucs had an interception earlier in the fourth quarter that was wiped out by a terrible, really, really weak illegal contact call on Zion McCollum. But that interception and subsequent return, the Bucs were up 7 and would have had the ball in Seattle's territory and would have changed the whole complexion of that game. Instead, they wipe it out. Seattle scores, and then we have the whole back and forth. So they needed somebody to make a play, man. This is a team that, again, like in a big picture way, this team is 4-1. They were 7 starters down on Sunday. They were missing 7 guys from the starting lineup on Sunday, 4 on defense, 4 on offense, 3 on defense. But this is a team that's played 3 games without Tristan Wirfs, 3 games without Chris Godwin, 2 games now without Mike Evans. Kalijah Cansey's been out since halftime of week 2. Luke Gedeke, the starting right tackle, has been out since the first drive of week 2. Cody Mauch is out there, starting right guard. Bucky Irving was out Sunday. They were missing 2 of their 3 starting corners. Like, to be 4-1 despite all of that, and again, to come out with the one play you needed. It doesn't matter that the defense played really bad for most of that second half. They needed one play. They needed one thing to go their way and to capitalize and take advantage. Great job by Levante. Absolutely gold jacket guy to be Johnny on the spot in the right time, the right place. And I think really, I know we're going to get into all these different guys, but Rachaad White, 2-touchdown game with Bucky Irving out of the game, had the big run to set up the field goal to get the first down on 3rd down and to slide and make sure the clock ran out. So many guys stepped up. Cade Otton, who's from Tumwater, Washington, by the way, which is just south of Olympia. So that's a home game for him as a Washington alum. Again, Emeka Ibuka is from Tacoma, which is not far from Seattle. A big contingent of his family there. So Vita Vea is a Husky alum. Just a fantastic game to watch, and just a microcosm of this entire Tampa Bay season with the way they've just continued to bounce back from adversity after adversity.
Yeah, the interception then was an interception you bring up there by – I'm shaking my head because, look, Antoine Winfield Jr. picks the ball off. Momentum, 7-point lead. You know the Bucs are going to score to go up 14. They call this weak call on the play. Dude, if that was a playoff game, there is no way they're calling that. There is no way. You've got to let the players play. But that's not even the craziest play. So later in the game, again, Seattle's in their own 2-yard line.
Oh,
Throws the ball. I know you okay, he throws it.
That's the play I thought oh, they're going to lose because if things like that are going that way, it's not going to happen.
Dude, it's in the hands. In his hands, it tips off. Somehow Cooper Kupp and your brain's like, wait, Cooper Kupp's on Seattle? And he literally catches it. It's only play of the game. You're right. When that play happened, I was like, well, there's no way the Bucs can win this game. There's no one. I'm happy you agree with me after that.
That's exactly what I thought. Yaya Diaby, who was the defender on that play, read it perfectly, man. He stopped his pass rush. He was sitting there. He saw something on tape. He knew what was coming. He was right there and literally would have caught the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. And it bounced off his head. He's a defensive guy. You get what you get. He's a defensive end, outside linebacker. So it is what it is.
Dude, they held on. They made the play late. I'm trying to start with defense here because finally they made a play. But I have concerns about them. Special teams in this game, the kickoff coverage by the Bucs. Every time you look away, Seattle starts at the 40 or 50-yard line. What the hell was that exactly? Yes.
I mean, it's unacceptable is what it is. The Bucs have to make some changes there. I'm not a big call for people's job type of guy. That's just not the type of human I want to be. But if you're looking at the results, man, something has to change. This team, the whole season, blocked kicks and just horrible kick coverage. It's just continuing. If you give any team, let alone an offense like Seattle's, the ball anywhere near midfield every single time you kick the ball away, it's just you can't win games like that. They were lucky to win this one like that, but Todd Bowles has to take a serious look at that entire unit and make some big changes. Because if they want to do what they are capable of doing, which is win a Super Bowl this year, I firmly believe they are capable of doing that. That's got to get fixed, because if it doesn't, they're going to lose games they should win and lose very, very important games down the stretch because of that unit. And they'll have nobody to blame but themselves if they don't make changes right now.
Like you brought up Rachaad White on the offense. I thought he was fantastic. All right, stat sheet, they barely ran the ball. They had about 60 yards in this game because Baker had 375. But, dude, I feel like he's been forgotten because of the emergence of Bucky and the pass blocking, the runs he had late, the touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get credit, so I want you to give him some love because I thought he was a big part of this offense yesterday.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. My older brother who lives in the Seattle area, he went to a Washington Huskies game 4 or 5 years ago. And he texted me, because I'm a draft guy, right? He texted me and he says, hey man, I'm at this game. The Huskies are playing against Arizona State. I don't know if you've watched tape on this guy yet, but Arizona State's running back is legit. His name is Rachaad White, and he just ran all over Washington in this game. So just keep an eye on him. And at that point, I think it was the year before he really broke out. And so he wasn't even really on my radar yet. So I was like, oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks for the tip. And then the next year he blows up for Arizona State. Tampa drafts him in the 3rd round. So every time I talk about Rachaad White, I got to give my brother props because he was the first person that told me about how great Rachaad White was going to be. But Rachaad White, this is why, there were certain Bucs fans that, after Bucky emerged last season, everybody was like, oh, Rachaad White's in the last year of his deal. They should trade him. They should move on. I'm telling you, you don't understand Rachaad White's impact because it's not as flashy as Bucky Irving, but he does all the hard, dirty work that never gets appreciated, even when Bucky's active. There's a reason that everybody kept wondering, oh, Bucky Irving is this shifty, undersized, great pass catcher out of the backfield. Why is Rachaad White on the field on 3rd down so much? Because Rachaad White is big, he's tough, and he's smart. Those things are so vital, particularly on 3rd downs, because those situations are so critical. He's the best pass protecting running back they have. Like you mentioned, the pass blocking is huge. His mental, there was a play, there was a huge throw. I can't even remember which one it was, if it was the big touchdown or whatever, where he's the one that's helping Baker identify potential extra rushers. He's changing protections. He's working with the offensive line to change protections and change assignments. Those things are so vital. And if you don't have a guy in that position, again, he's so much bigger than Bucky that Bucky can give his best effort as a pass blocker, Rachaad White can actually get it done, can actually stymie a linebacker or even a defensive lineman long enough to get the ball off. And again, he's not as explosive. He doesn't accelerate the same way Bucky does, but he's a slippery guy, man. Rachaad has these runs and these catches where you're just like, I thought they tackled him 6 yards ago, but somehow he's still up, even though he looks kind of slow while he's doing it. He's just a guy that it doesn't always look pretty, but he gets the job done. And again, he was rewarded with 2 touchdown runs. And again, one of the biggest plays he made was the Bucs had a 3rd and not super short where they needed to make it at the end to be able to run the whole clock down and kick the field goal at the end. And he made a great bounce, got to the outside, slid down instead of going out of bounds to make sure they could preserve that. Rachaad White's brain is so vital to this team. And again, he's a tough back. He's exactly the type of back you want in those moments, in those situations. You love having the big explosive guy like Bucky, and obviously they're a better offense when he's healthy and in the game. But to be able to turn to a guy like Rachaad White when those moments need it the most, his skill set is still so valuable to this team. And it's why I won't be surprised if they extend him, if they re-sign him, because he's just so important to this offense.
We're at Luke Easterling-Athlon Sports, talking Buccaneers' big win on Sunday there at Seattle. All right, let's get to Baker. And after the Atlanta win earlier this year, I said he's an MVP candidate. I've noticed nationally, everyone's fine. Now we're in October. They're finally on this train we've been hyping. Dude, 375. I think he only missed 5 passes in the game. He looks locked in. Like, he is a dangerous man under center for the Buccaneers. How big was he yesterday for this offense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw something. He's the first quarterback to ever have a game where he throws for 375 plus and completes that high of a percentage of his passes. So like an 85 or whatever, whatever his completion percentage was, that number and 375 plus in a game has never happened before in NFL history ever until Baker did it yesterday.
On the road, by the way, at the 12th.
On the road in Seattle. Like, that is a top 5 road venue, like in terms of toughness to play. I know, again, Seattle had some injuries of their own, but it's still a Mike McDonald run defense. They still had some horses in that game, and Baker just carved them up, man. I'm not going to lie. I had a hard choice in my fantasy lineup, and I was skeptical of leaving Baker in the lineup because of that venue and that defense, and I didn't know how it was going to go. Boy, I'm glad I did, because, man, he just absolutely carved him up. And again, I mentioned all the injuries earlier. The fact that this team is 4-1 despite all that they've been missing, it says so much about the organization and the team in general, but, man, it says so much about number 6 and how valuable he is to this team, because if most other quarterbacks aren't the quarterback of this team, they're not 4-1. There's no way. And again, he's 4th in the league in passing yards, despite, again, no Chris Godwin for 3 weeks. He's lost Mike Evans for 2 weeks now. He's had a patchwork offensive line. He still hasn't played a game with his entire starting offensive line at all this season. And he's still got all those numbers. He's got 10 touchdown passes and just 1 interception in the first 5 weeks of the season. I don't know who's more valuable to their team right now. You can make the argument that Josh Allen is a better player, that he's, more athletic and he can do all these things. I don't know that he's more valuable to the Bills than Baker Mayfield is. You can make a case that he should win. That's fine. But I think they're 1A and 1B. I think Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield are your MVP candidates for sure. Because I think they have the same value and the same impact on their teams. And if anybody else is the quarterback of this team, I don't know that this team's 4-1.
Okay, here's my other thing with Seattle on top of what you're saying. They didn't get the newsletter that read, Ibuka is for real. You better put people on him. All right, I know everyone's going to hype the 55-yard pass, which was amazing. Dude, and I text you this. The 3rd and 15, and he hit Ibuka for 17 in the back of the end zone. Holy macaroni. I'm trying to keep this PG with what I'm trying to say.
It's hard to do.
Oh, man. He is. Okay, I'm going to go there. He's the best receiver on the Buccaneers. I know Mike Evans, Mount Rushmore. Right. Ibuka is the man. Right? Ibuka is the man. What does he bring to the table right now to the Buccaneers? Because he is kicking ass out there.
Yeah,
see,
man,
there,
I think
I did swear a little.
You did. It's fine. It's fine. No, I think as a player, it's so funny when he was drafted, there's so many people that are like, what are they doing? Like, they need a pass rusher. They need all these things. And they did need all that defensive help, which is why they spent the next 5 picks on defensive players, by the way. There's more rounds in the first round. But it's what Ibuka brings to the table is exactly what we said he did. We just didn't think he was going to do it in Tampa, right? We thought this guy is a I called him the most pro-ready prospect in the entire draft before that draft. And I believe that very wholeheartedly in terms of his polish, his experience, just such a well-rounded guy. Sure, he can't run a 4.2, and sure, he's not 6'4", 230, but he's just so good at everything that there's no way. There might be a guy who hits and he's a superstar at a level because of his athletic traits that might be a higher ceiling guy than Ibuka. I was like, there's no way Ibuka sucks. Like, there's no way he's going to be a bad football player. He's going to be, at worst, an elite number 2 wide receiver at the NFL. I think that's his floor. And when that's his floor, the ceiling anywhere above that is great. And so I think the Bucs are a unique, front office in that they care so much about the human being as well. And I think Emeka Ibuka impressed them so much as a person, as much as a player, that they were bent on making sure he got into that locker room because they just believed in him off the field as much as on the field. And look at what they're used to with Evans and Godwin, right? 2 superstar wide receivers who are the most unselfish guys at the most selfish position historically, right? And Ibuka is that guy. Like, he's in that mold. So, but it's funny because when that pick happens, everybody's like, oh, he's going to be like wide receiver 3 or 4 at most. He's wide receiver 1 already. And yes, it's because of injury, but I think this is what's going to happen as you emerge throughout the rest of the year. Again, Chris Godwin's about to turn 30 next year. Evans will be 32 next year. As this offense emerges, like kind of develops the rest of the season, this is what's going to happen. Chris Godwin is going to be your third down specialist who makes the tough catches over the middle, who moves the chains for you. Evans is going to continue to dominate in the red zone. Anytime you get inside the 10-ish, they're just going to throw it up to Mike, and he's going to catch 10 touchdowns again because that's what he does. Ibuka is going to be the volume guy. He's going to be the de facto number 1 receiver in this offense for the rest of forever. I think, like, until he hangs up his cleats, probably. I think he's already taken that over because of the injuries. But now that we've seen what he can do, and he's done it, by the way, at first it was Evans on the field and he's playing Godwin's role. Then Godwin comes back, but Evans is hurt. So he goes and plays Evans' role. He can do everything. That's why they cross-trained him at every receiver position. He can be the X. He can be the Z. You can move him around. You can line him up in the slot. You can put him everywhere you want. And so Evans and Godwin are going to continue to have significant roles in this offense because of the things that they bring to the table that are unique to them, and they're going to be heavily involved. But I'm telling you, man, for the next 10, 12, 15 years, Emeka Ibuka is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in Tampa Bay. And Baker Mayfield's going to retire before he has to worry about whether or not he has a receiver to throw to that's any good.
I love what you're saying right there, and I think everyone who roots for the Buccaneers would agree with you. I can't stress this enough at the NFL level. When a quarterback likes throwing you the ball, the quarterback doesn't care what the GM's thinking. Like, well, we signed this guy, you better throw to him. No, if he wants to throw to Ibuka, let him keep throwing him the football, and he's open. All right, so here's the bigger thing. So he's at Ohio State, right? I know this. All right, so it's him, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then we have Jeremiah Smith, who's there right now.
Yep.
He's got a chance to be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. at the NFL
level. He's already better than him right now. Yeah, I think, and again, they're very different receivers too. I think Marvin is the bigger, more physical guy in theory, but he doesn't really play that way. He's much more of a. The problem with Marvin is he's in a bad offense, and he's with a 5'9" quarterback that struggles to throw over the middle, and his best route is the dig. Like, he's best on those in-breaking routes over the middle of the field, and that's the hardest throw for a 5'9" quarterback like Kyler Murray to make it. And the offense just is bad. It's not a great scheme. And so it's not about his talent, I don't think. But Ibuka is in the perfect offense. He's got the opportunities. And again, he's just a guy that came in with so much polish and so much experience. When you're the all-time leading receiver, you've caught more passes than any receiver in Ohio State history, with the history of that program at that position. That says something. You want to talk about developing trust with quarterbacks. That dude did it at Ohio State, and it's clear he's quickly doing it with Baker here in Tampa.
Should he have been a top 10 pick?
Yeah, I mean, of course, right? In hindsight, that's always what you want to say. Again, there's a lot of guys at a lot of positions, but it's impossible to overstate his impact. He's easily the offensive rookie of the year front runner right now. I don't think anybody is close. And again, hopefully he stays healthy. I'll knock on wood all day long. But just think about what this offense is going to look like the back half of the season if everybody can stay healthy. Obviously, if they get a chance to play with all 5 of those offensive linemen back, if Gedeke and Mount come back healthy, when Bucky's back healthy, a receiver line, again, we haven't even talked about Jalen McMillan, who had that neck injury in the preseason. They're hoping he comes back at some point after the bye. When they get fully healthy, this team is 4-1 despite all these injuries. But if they get a chance to play with that entire offensive line and the entire backfield and those 4 receivers healthy, Evans, Godwin, Abuka, and McMillan with Baker back there, I mean, they could hang 50 on people. Like, this is just going to be nasty.
Who else scored a touchdown? Shepard? What?
Yeah, you want to talk about trusting a receiver no matter what anybody else thinks. Shepard was going to retire. He was going to retire, and Baker called him up and was like, hey, bro, you want to catch some passes from me for a little while like we did back in the day at Oklahoma? And he's like, yeah, sure. Sterling Shepard has been dynamite for this team. He has made some huge, huge plays for this team. And again, it's about trust. If you can develop that trust with your quarterback, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter where you were drafted, what your contract is. Baker trusts that guy. And again, he found him for a touchdown, a huge touchdown in that game. And he's had some huge third down completions to him so far this season. So it's all about trust. Baker, if he can rely on you, you're going to get the football.
What I love about you, Luke Easterling, is you really believe that you're going to be fully healthy and everything's going to be fine.
No, I don't believe that. I have what Gandalf in Lord of the Rings would call a fool's hope.
Yes.
I know it's foolish, but I can't help it. It's involuntary. The hope in me is involuntary. I do hope we get to see that entire starting offense back healthy at some point. It would be so nice. Obviously, I'm still pulling for Mike because I want him to get 1,000 yards again. It's going to be a tall task the rest of the year now, but yeah, I can hope. I can hope.
Okay, here's my thing. Compared to the last couple of years where it's like you're barely winning 9 games, 10 games, and it's like, oh, we have to beat Carolina late, and then we got to make sure Atlanta loses. I think that win yesterday shows this team has the potential to be a top 3 seed in the NFC. Maybe, I don't know. Well, I think Detroit's the best team. Detroit, Philly, and Tampa are my top 3. But don't you have this feeling, okay, double-digit wins, let's get a home playoff game, this is a legit team in the NFC? Do you feel that?
Of course. And again, this stretch is going to be huge for them because and that's why that win against Seattle is so huge, just like the week 1 win against Atlanta on the road is going to be huge within the division. But this next stretch, they're back home against San Francisco, and San Francisco's banged up, but they're always going to be a tough out because they're a very well-coached team, still got a lot of talent. Then they got to go at Detroit on Monday night, so that's obviously going to be super tough. They get the Saints, but on the road in New Orleans is always a tough place to play. They come back home to face New England, who just beat the Bills on the road, and then you've got home again, or you got to stay on the road and go against Buffalo the next week. You got to go at Buffalo the next week. Then you got to go at the Rams the week after. That's going to be a tough stretch. But, man, if they can just split that stretch, if they can grab a couple of wins, they finish home against Arizona, home against the Saints, home against the Falcons, at the Panthers, at the Dolphins, and home against the Panthers. That 6-week stretch should be 6-0 for these Bucs. And if they didn't win another game and just won those, they'd be a 10-win team. And so I think if they can steal any game over this stretch, that's going to be really, really tough, especially some of those road games. Any win they can get is going to be huge because I think they've got a chance to get to be their healthiest down the stretch, and that schedule is setting up really nicely for them.
Okay, a couple questions then. First off, who's the quarterback for the Niners then on Sunday? And I know it's only Monday. Do you go with Mac Jones? Do you go? I think you stay with him if this is working. I do.
I mean, if Brock Purdy is healthy, he's the quarterback because you paid him and you have to do that. Like that's until he shows that when he's fully healthy, he's really, really bad. Then you have to have that conversation regardless of the money, right? And we've seen that happen before in the NFL. But I mean, Mac Jones is doing a great job. Kudos to him. This is why I think we heard all those rumors leading up to that draft that he's the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan had actually traded up for. And I don't know if any of that is true, but that was the discussion at the time that people thought that. Maybe they got talked out of it and ended up going with Trey Lance, but it's still it's a great fit schematically. It's worked out really well, but you just paid Brock Purdy super big money. And so if he's healthy, he's got to be your quarterback, because if he's not, that says something else about your ability to identify things. And I don't think they can give up on that quite yet, nor should they. Again, I think if Purdy's healthy, he needs to be in there. But when you've got a guy like Mac Jones who can deliver with him out of the lineup, that's why it still makes it a tough out for the Bucs I think it's going to be a tough game for them. Again, Kyle Shanahan's always going to have his offense doing some crazy things and having you on your heels. And the Bucs defense has a lot of work to do. And Robert Saleh being back as their defensive coordinator, I know they're missing some personnel from last year, but Saleh being back, I think, really solidifies that unit in a big way. So going to be a tough game for them, no matter what.
Think about this. So the last 3 weeks, if you're going to count Sunday, so you went 3-0 versus 3-0 Philadelphia. Then you just did 3-1 versus 3-1 Seattle, Tampa. Now you're going to have 4-1 versus 4-1 Niners versus the Bucs. And then, dude, what's the over under Detroit, Tampa? 80? What are we going with?
Probably. Yeah. Cause again, I mean, Detroit's already dealing with injuries on defense too. Terrion Arnold's going to be out for a while now. One of their corners, they're already banged up. So yeah, that one's going to be great for everybody's fantasy teams.
Oh yeah. Remember, and Tampa went there last year and won early in the season. And
they were,
what was it, like 20? It was some short type score.
20-18, I think it was. And again, it was week 2. Aiden Hutchinson had 5 sacks in that game, and the Bucs still won. That was wild. Again, 15-2 Lions team. The Bucs were one of the only teams that beat them.
All right, let's end with this. Okay. Who had a worse loss? The Cardinals or the Cardinals?
Yeah, I was gonna say Arizona. I don't care who the other team is.
Dude, he threw the touch. Okay, he threw the pass. It gets picked off, then fumbled, then kind of like kicked into the end zone. That's the game. I can't. I don't understand.
If you lose that way, you just know it's not going to be your year, and you probably need to just change everything.
The Arizona started 2-0, then they lose like a close game, then they go to Thursday Night Football, lose another close game, then they should be 4-1 at least.
They easily could be. Yeah, it's not just how they lost, but who they lost to. Like Tennessee has looked so bad, and they just kept begging them to win that game, and they finally obliged.
I don't understand. And by the way, the Jets. Okay, they're the worst team. They have emerged. It happens every year. Someone emerges as the worst team in football. It's the Jets.
Listen, they hired Aaron Glenn because he's a great defensive coach. He played DB for that team, was a great player himself. They've got Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, so many great defensive players on that side of the ball. They don't have a takeaway, Mark.
Zero.
They have no takeaways in 5 weeks. How is that even possible?
You'd think, like, okay, by accident, someone would fumble the ball. And
the Bucs game, some pass has to hit somebody's head and bounce into your arms at some point in 5 weeks, right? No, it doesn't happen.
Like, since you covered the draft, I don't even know what to do with the Jets. I don't like. You'll get the number 1 pick. Do you take a quarterback? Like, I don't even.
Yeah, you take a quarterback. I mean, Justin Fields is on a 1-year deal. You got to get that figured out before anything. But their problems start there, but there are plenty of other bigger ones. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't really have much. We thought they had a defense, but they don't. And then they extended Garrett Wilson, and that's great. But Breece Hall, his contract's going to be up. I don't think they're going to want to pay him a bunch of money. I don't know, man. On paper they should be so much better than they are. And that usually reflects on the coaching, and I hate it because I'm pulling for Aaron Glenn. I want him to succeed there with the Jets. I'd like to see a guy go back to the team he played for and have success. But man, they look bad.
You know who they look good against? Your Buccaneers, where they should have won that game with Tyrod Taylor
somehow, man. And it's but only because special teams and defense, and there again a lot that has to get figured out there, and the offense is covering for it, but. It's a lot easier to fix your problems when you're 4-1. It feels a lot better than when you're 0-5.
I love the photo you posted, by the way. It sums up everything.
Yeah, no context necessary, right? No caption necessary.
It was Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold both on Carolina. Like what? What is happening?
That was a great game for Panthers fans, Jets fans, and Browns fans to watch. Oh my God. Watching those two quarterbacks. Just absolutely masterful duel.
That game yesterday reminded me when I was in college playing PS2 Madden, like where no defense, just we're going to score. We're on rookie mode. And and I'll tell you,
it was like Big 12 football, like 10 or 15 years ago, like Mahomes versus Mayfield, where it's like 70-68 in triple overtime.
Look, I imagine just like every Buccaneer guy, you're just fist pumping when that interception happens because we're going to win this game. Let's go.
You got to remember, I live in the greater Seattle area now after spending my entire life in Tampa. So I'm the only idiot screaming in this region, except for my brother who's at the game. Like I'm the only idiot I'm definitely the only idiot in my neighborhood screaming like for the opposite situations on Sunday when everybody else here was excited.
You're thousands and thousands miles away. You love it. Fire those cannons. Luke Easterling, my man, thanks for helping. Have a great week. All right.
You too, Mark. Take care, man.